my little two-piece to do two things. One, serve as an active mentor for any of the young people who want to ask about history, historical, whatnot, because wisdom is about if this happened and people responded this way, and then you do a critique, how did that work out for you? So as when we get older, wisdom is about, that smelled like the same shit before. That looked like the same shit as I seen before. So when that shit happened before, we responded this way. And how did that work out for us? So should we repeat that response or should we change it?
Hello. Happy Monday, happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday, happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Older Black Men Conversations. I am one of your co-panelists, Brother David Harold Dudley III, also known as Sweet Sunny D, but I'm also known as Cool Breeze. What's up?
Hey, you got a lot of aliases.
Somebody got to.
I'm intrigued by that. I'm the real Cliff Barnes, another one of your co-panelists, and I'd like to say hello and how are you? And we're having really warm, great weather on this particular Thursday in the Pacific Northwest, and a sweatshirt, Pacific Northwest. And
I'm Gary, your personal street philosopher, and
I am the professional home inspector.
there you go.
Luther Lodge.
All right.
Wow.
So,
Well, listen, we got a home inspector, a street philosopher, and a real dude,
regular man.
regular man. But check this out. Now, I don't know about y'all, but this has been on my mind for the past couple of days.
Cool.
Back in the day, in school, in high school, and after high school,
For sure.
I've never read Uncle Tom's Cabin. So it was interesting to me. I kind of got the gist of it, I think, because I got to find out, explored that question, what exactly is an Uncle Tom? Because back in the day, black folks would get called Uncle Tom. I was one of them.
That term was thrown around a lot.
Right, I was one of them, but I never really knew what it meant. And as I evolved, I kind of thought that it meant someone who was capable or able to deal with somebody who wasn't black. And so you didn't talk black with them, so you was therefore an Uncle Tom, or you didn't live where they lived, where the so-called blacks lived. That's what Uncle Tom meant to me. What's up?
I don't know. The amazing thing is, I never really read the whole book either. I mean, I've had excerpts and whatever, and from what I got out of it, didn't seem to fit what the profile that the people who were throwing it around. You know, it's like, well, you're not down. You know, we want to, demonstrate this or demonstrate against that or whatever. And if you want a part of it, then, that they throw you that term. Yeah, well, he's just Uncle Tom. Yeah, so I from what I got from reading excerpts in the book, it was just kind of like, the other people decided that Tom was, contrary to their beliefs, so they just hung that on him as it evolved, years and years and decades and centuries down the road.
yeah, I think I never finished Uncle Tom's Cabin either, but I think my takeaway at that time was there was an actor, I can't think of his name now, but he would do what we call step and fetch it kind of thing. You know, to what, you want me to get a job, because that gave pleasure to white people. Say, yeah, look at that nigga, watch this. Well, what I didn't realize at the time was he was feeding his family. He was
Very
getting-
well.
Very well.
Sorry, just
Yeah.
that guy you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was also a writer, I believe, for a newspaper. He
Yeah.
was making so much money. He was
Yeah.
a very wealthy black man. Sorry,
Yeah,
keep going.
good feeling. That's good feeling. So he was playing the role that was available for a black person to play at that time. So he worked the system. He's pimping the system when you think about it.
Sure.
But we, at the time, politically, that wasn't a popular place to be.
Yeah.
You know, even in college, right? During
That's what I'm saying.
the revolutionary time period. Hey, brother, you coming to the BSU meeting? Oh, man, I gotta go to class.
Right.
Okay. See, that's what's wrong with us now. So we didn't say Uncle Tom, but the sentiment was, if you don't go to the BSU meeting,
You're not black.
right? So, Mr. Home Inspector.
Yeah. And you were from being from a different part of the country, so there may be a different perspective because we're all from the Pacific Northwest. Whether we were raised here, all of us were born here, but our perspective is, you know, from that. So I would like to hear your take because of where you're from.
Thank you. That's a good segue into. I grew up in Michigan, Detroit. Spent a little time in Battle Creek, Michigan, right? Poor folks, poor white folks, poor black folks, right? And the sentiment of the black community, of other blacks who got along so well with whites that they were receiving more benefits or whatnot, and that was that one, you can't trust them because they're gonna, you know, you can't share all the information with them, they'll run back on and whatnot, and they weren't down for the group, they were more individually bought into this rugged individualism. So I'm gonna get mine, I'm doing it for my family, it's fine. Later on, when I spent the most time in Detroit, I began to love to read, always loved to read. Didn't read Uncle Tom's Cabin, didn't have to, I'm glad I didn't, don't want to today, I ain't interested, you know. So, I'm okay with that, you know. So, I got a chance to get out of high school, being graduated but not fully educated. It's time to go, time to go. Now, also in Detroit when I was growing up, on my block, there was this brother, real clean. I think it was every Wednesday or Thursday night he'd step out, he'd have on this dark blue suit, red trim, had on that pillbox hat with the, what did it say, FOI on it?
Fruit of Islam.
Fruit of Islam.
Brother
Yeah.
Sharp. I was in ROTC, so I knew what Sharp was, and this guy was down. I said, that dude is down. Then I started hearing James Brown's Black and the Proud. Excuse me, even before that was Malcolm X. Yes, there was civil rights stuff happening. I mean, it was like, damn, they're bombing kids and stuff like that. But when Malcolm X talked about the house Negro and the field Negro, and I'm being nice because that's, you know, that's what he says. Boom. That house Negro, that's that kind of person you don't want to trust, you want to share information with. Individually, they were getting over, and his family was getting over, but it wasn't helping the liberation of the rest of the folks that he knew. And so I still hold that, is that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And our responsibility is to be true to ourselves, just like in the song with James Weldon Johnson, lift every voice and sing. Be true to our native land. All of us were brought here as free people and we were enslaved. And until we're trying to get back, to get back what's due us. I don't have no time for trying to navigate, so I got mine and I'm doing, you know, unless you're giving back totally, man.
But,
I don't have a
But-
space for it.
but don't you feel that,
Unless, the only exception is from this book, was Daniel Greenleaf wrote this book about the spook who sat by the door.
okay,
Right.
I can do that because I've worked in the
Okay,
city
but-
plantation
but-
and whatnot, but you know, I ain't
but-
got no
but what,
accolades about it.
what I'm feeling, and my quandary with the term Uncle Tom, the field nigga, whatever, is that, yes, they're pushing forward their family. Yes, they are working. But doesn't that also lift the rest of us? Because in their working, they're busting down some of those stereotypes that's keeping some of the other ones down, and they're making a way for the next one.
I disagree. In slavery times, they didn't have that kind of power to stop families from getting busted up and split up and gone down the road, stuff like that.
I'm not talking about slavery times.
Okay.
I'm going
And
forward to
one of my-
when we were, for example, in high school.
Exactly. One of my best friends, and I'm godfather of his son, late Bobby Vincent. Bobby says to me once, well, you know, Lou, we play chess, you know, he say, you know, Lou, you know, the reason why I'm in the Republican Party is because, you know, we gotta have a seat at the table. We gotta bring that perspective and whatnot. On theory, that sounds good, be in the room. But if it's a democratic situation where there's 10 seats and you're one of the seats and your position is the truth, the perspective that you know for sure, and these folks said, nah, because that threatens our power, so we're not gonna entertain that. So I didn't see where that, and I'm not calling him a house Negro at all. However, using that as a technique and a method to be a part of the agenda, to help navigate, man, it's like turning the ship on a dime. It ain't gonna happen, Captain.
So what you're saying to me is that okay, we all got to be Democrats, but doesn't that put the white boy in the same boat? Because now he don't have to give up the reparations. He don't have to give up that job or those jobs over there, because we got all of them right here. They're gonna support whatever we do. Tell you what, let's give this one over there a job. That'll shut them up. But we ain't got to deal with them because we got them all.
You're right.
You dig?
Yeah, I do.
And that's, and to me, that is the quandary of someone being a Tom, because in today's society, for example, I just read that Ray J, the entertainer, is a Trump supporter, a big Trump supporter. But he ain't the only one. But guess what? They got seats at the table, just as many seats as we do in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but
What's the difference?
But the whole thing is, prior to the 60s, practically all of our parents, our grandparents were Republicans. No, I'm talking about my experience and going to people's houses and seeing but
Yeah, I
and
remember
all
that.
shit.
I think that
There was a big amount of black people that were Republicans, of those that voted or could vote.
Like they was in the Second World War, you know. What the heck, you know,
Yeah, but I mean
that was a no-brainer for him.
that changed in the 60s, and so you had a whole lot of, as we grew older, it was like, okay, well, it's not about this party or that party. It's about what is this person going to do to help our situation.
Policies.
Policies.
Or my personal situation, this actually happened at the barber shop I went to. And just like we said at the beginning, our format here is kind of based on what brothers go to the barber shop. and talk about, right? Nobody shows up with a script. We just all show up. Everybody's got something going. And there was always a brother, and I'm not going to mention his name, he had a nice Mercury. And he would come in and he would be brag, I'm Republican. To me, what he was saying is, I got money because of the Republican Party. And I don't know if this follows what you're saying, but by being a Republican, I'm able to get things you can't because you're not a Republican. So, and that was way before Trump. And
Way
like
before.
the people you mentioned that are Trump supporters, I guess the first question I have is, are they Republican supporters or are they actually Donald Trump supporters? Because to me, they're different. I see them like Ice Cube. He's a Republican because the Republican policies keep him rich. But does that automatically make him a Trump supporter?
Well, you know.
You know what, I don't know, I think that's an individual thing.
And then Trump represents the Republican
Maybe that's
Party.
it. He represents the
Okay, it's like he's one person, and right now he's the person
He's a presumptive nominee.
that's pretty much the head of the party.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
So
When he got his daughter or something, head of the
he was the
RNC.
head of the RNC.
Oh, man,
He's
you know.
spending money on his defense fund as opposed to spending money to deal with Republican policy and
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. So
So that
So
would be a
that was
question for somebody like Michael Steele.
Yeah.
Or Roland Martin.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned about, aren't they the same, Democrats and Republicans?
kind of.
Both of them have nixed even a conversation on reparations. Think about that. Both of them. Since Martin Luther King, oh, we love Martin Luther King, blah, blah, blah. But since that time, they don't even want to have a discussion. Even when we had Democratic head of the leadership in the executive branch and in the,
Right.
the discussion coming, because HR 40, it only talks about a discussion. We're not even worthy of a discussion of reparations.
No,
Come on, man.
No,
that's what
we're
I'm saying.
not.
Well, obviously it's not. And so what we have, I'm not prescribing, we gotta be Democrat. No, we gotta be policy centered. We look at what policies this party, what policy this party, which of those policies are gonna benefit us the most.
well, you know what,
I
I don't disagree with you, but the first thing that's gotta happen is we have got to set the policies we want.
Amen. Amen.
I mean,
Amen. Amen. And we can walk and chew gum at the same time. While we're putting it together,
there you go.
you've heard me say before, man,
But-
we can take
yeah.
our monies and put it in credit unions and support each other's businesses and hire each other and employ one another
And trust one
and
another.
it builds trust. I mean, it ain't gonna be a flip and switch.
Well,
man.
you know what, you're right.
Just like we've been
Yeah.
bred to be black folks,
Right,
we've been bred to mistrust each other.
right,
And-
but you
and
know
it's-
what? We've done a lot to feed that
Yes, we
fire.
have. Yes, we
We've
have.
done a lot to
Yes.
feed that fire. So, I mean, we got work to do.
Amen.
And before,
Amen.
before
still
we
got
can
plenty
even,
work to do.
I mean, we can think about it, but to be realistic, until we get our dookie together,
That's right.
So you're gonna just wait. So
Kind of
when do we
funny
have our
word.
stuff together? Do we wait till our stuff is together and then do it, or you do it?
No, we build toward getting our shit together.
And that's why,
Right.
going to
right.
credit unions and having our
Right.
Well,
retirement monies and our
but again,
pension monies
again,
and Social Security put into
again,
the banks that
that-
helps to build that
Right, but
institution so we
again,
can
that
lend money
comes
to
down
each
to
other.
trust.
So we can.
again, that comes down to the basic portion of trust. Money,
I always follow the money.
money, always.
Man, we're not gonna save everybody, but once I know these people, I've been black all my life. I know these folks, man. If somebody's doing something good and it's causing some positive results, after a while, they're gonna say, "I think I want to do that too." But that initial stage, that's like a sacrifice, man. They're gonna take some stripes. They're gonna take some hits. Call Uncle Tom. Call this, that, and the other. Blah 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 blah. But if you're looking just here, you'll miss the big picture, and the big picture is for the grandkids and the kids after that.
No, but
I
you
think
have
it's
some.
worth
You
it.
have
That sacrifice is worth
But
it.
you have a lot of people throughout the years that have used that to
Exploit.
scam and exploit a
Yeah.
bunch of other folks. So that little bit of trust we had is suddenly now broken.
Yeah.
So then you try to build up again, and something similar happens. That little bit of trust is broken.
Because we don't learn. The scammers and the con artists, all they see is this worked before, it can work now. Let me
That's
just
right.
dress it up a little. Let me dress this pig up a little different.
Different color lipstick.
We talked about this a few episodes ago, how, when we were talking about being the gods of black people in America, how would we set up America Town, like you came up, PNW would be our country. How do we gather, all of us, or we're not going to get all of us, most of us, whereas we're all thinking the same politically and economically.
But
How,
that- but-
how
but
do we
see,
gather?
We don't
But
really
wait a
want
minute.
everybody thinking the same.
Right.
We need to have the diversity so that all sides are heard, and then we need to have the unity to say, okay, this is a good idea, we'll work on that one. This is another good idea, we'll work on that one. We haven't even got to that point yet.
So you
Okay.
prioritize.
But I only prioritize,
But I mean, you try
But,
to
but
get people.
if every idea isn't a bad idea, every
Right.
idea isn't a good idea. If some of those ideas need to be merged.
I agree. I agree. I think,
Okay.
and I believe you have to. You know, one of the greatest things I learned while attending college was to put together an outline. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got A, you got B, you got C, and all of these, you know,
Subcategories.
bingo. So
Yes.
you got your mission statement, you got your goals, and those have to. And so
Sure.
each of the ideas have to support what you've agreed to as a mission statement, as a goal. And
So
so
you- yes.
there's an economic piece, there's an education piece, right? There's a business piece or a cultural piece, you know. And we've tried all this before. It doesn't mean that we cannot. You got to keep trying. Black Wall Street. It didn't die off because folks was white, because black people were jealous of it,
Right.
because black people didn't distrust it. But once it got destroyed, the fear is like it's like taking a family back in slavery and hanging a dude up there saying, if you try that same thing, this is gonna happen to you too. And so it just kind of never got started again. It was, well, I don't know, there's too many people out there scammers, too many people distrusting. Since then, not just now, they wouldn't, you know. So it's, but you still got to make that sacrifice.
But that is an example that current black people can look back and say, look, it worked.
It worked.
It didn't collapse within itself.
Amen.
It didn't fail.
Right.
It was taken.
Yeah.
It was destroyed.
Right.
Okay? And people of this current phase of America are not looking back at that like that. It's like you say, it's a scare tactic.
Yeah, it works.
It's a scare tactic, and then you have a lot of people that were from the South that were in, proximity of that. And once they heard about it, like you say, there's another thing to fear.
But
You know?
that's still here. That hasn't gone away. See, we're talking about what we do internally black. How do we get rid of the obstacles that are willing to kill, even if they have to kill their own? They've attacked us when we were successful, and because that works. So how do we? And maybe we don't want to talk about that today, but that has to be a part of the equation. That's an obstacle to our success.
Well,
So how do
maybe part of the thing should be, because the only way you're going to do that is to isolate them. Okay, so maybe we have master classes
I like it.
and deal with them in master classes that way, and then send them back out in the community. And when I say a master class, I don't mean an hour. I mean maybe a week
Yeah.
or 2 weeks or something.
Convention.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
we got to go back to where do we get the funds to do this, because nothing is free. You got to pay for everything.
Exactly.
So I mean, we're kind of stuck, but there's that idea out there,
Sure.
But it's beneficial because it benefits all the different areas of our lives. example, when, right after slavery, the first institutions that supported black folks was churches. The churches not only taught the word of God, but they taught each other how to read, how to write, how to add and subtract.
But-
And when they opened up,
But I agree with you to a point, but those churches,
Mhm.
for the most part, until they broke the hell away from it, they were part of the institution of slavery because they were taught during slavery that the main thing they were supposed to do was obey the master.
right, but when
So once slavery was over,
Mhm.
they had to be readjusted.
and they
That means that
and
the preachers had to be readjusted.
they did different denominations, the AME Church, Baptist Church,
How do you figure the Baptists? I personally think only the AME,
well, I can
AME
say AME for
initially,
sure.
AME
I can say,
Zion.
yeah, I can say AME for sure. Okay, Richard Allen, Absalom Jones.
Right, and AME Zion was just
Exactly.
an offspring of that.
Bingo. So
but there
they-
weren't, all the others were white institutions.
Okay, well, I can't speak specific of them. I should not
whatever.
say.
And the Southern Baptists,
I know
were-
about the AME.
the Baptists, especially the Southern Baptists,
Right.
were the worst and are still the worst.
Yeah.
So, what I was gonna say
Southern
is,
Democrats.
that's the institution that they used to springboard other stuff to build schools so they could have, and the first schools that they built, the HBU, they were mainly teacher colleges because we needed to teach one another, right? So you had
Right.
to teach, so in that same way, that master class where we're teaching each other,
Right.
not programming folks, but teaching them how to
HBCU.
critically think.
Right.
How
My
to subtract
grandmother
and how to
didn't
navigate
have a
the system.
degree. My grandmother taught at South Carolina State. She taught math at South Carolina State. She didn't have no degree, but she taught math.
But she passed on the knowledge that she had.
Well, my great grandmother, she
know.
she attended Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and my her husband, when she married, he was a member of the Tennessee's Gospel Jubilee Singers.
Okay.
We got a letter in the book there from
Fifth Gospel Jubilee, is
yes,
that it?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, from at the time Ponder. He was the past president of the Alphas. He was president of Fisk. Got a letter in the book there, man. Wrote, you know, and I said, hey, you know, he said, well, we can't confirm all of this here because a lot of records got burned in fire and whatnot. But he attended this school for sure.
But there was one other thing. When we were prospering after slavery,
Reconstruction, somewhere.
during Reconstruction,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of federal protection. They had troops.
Exactly.
And once the troops got pulled out,
Andrew Johnson.
then the assholes felt that power and tried to squelch everything that we had built to that point.
Right.
So, you know, it's an interesting kind of dynamic that as long as they were there, right, we felt, I don't know, I guess we felt more secure, we felt more,
Yeah.
you know, but then once again, just like at Black Wall Street, that fear was instilled.
Fear,
again.
jealousy.
And the jealous, the whole thing.
Listen, I don't know how bad it was back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
but when I was first grade, we went, my mom and I think one of her brothers, we went to an afternoon church service.
Mm-hmm.
And we came out, and the Klan was out there, and they chased our black asses. And that was in 1956, 57. I mean, they were still operating then.
As they are now.
Open.
Yeah.
As they are now, just not as open.
With the sheets.
But yeah, hell yes. But I mean, that fear, that was what that whole thing was about. That was why that organization came about, to instill fear and try to destroy whatever
Surely.
success and advancements that we had. That's why that organization,
Right.
and that it's not the only one. They're just the ones who were so out there and identifiable.
Yeah.
But you had a lot of secret organizations that undermine our part of society.
And it's also
And still
important to
be.
know that there's Black Wall Street and there's Rosewood, but there,
Well, you know what?
there are also important communities in different cities that were
Of
doing
course,
well.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
But not as big.
And,
Not as
and,
big.
and the city I was just mentioning is in North Carolina, up in the hills, Smoky Mountains. And hey, I grew up thinking that the milkman, the grocery store, the department store, the cab drivers, the movie theaters, everybody was black.
Right. And that,
When I got up here, I was like,
yeah.
where are the colored people at?
Yeah.
It's still that way now.
Yeah.
Because when my daughter was going to school in Richmond, it was that exact same way. In the inner city. You get a little bit of ways out into the suburbs, and boy, did that dynamic change. But you know, when I got back, I was like, damn, this is so familiar. Because you know, in New Orleans, when I was a little kid, it's just like you say, in the city.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have no inner city.
Well, no, because
We're small.
because it wasn't a big, it wasn't a major, yeah, you know. But what I'm saying is, there was such a difference, and this was like let's see, it was during the early 2000s when she graduated. So the bus driver, the cab driver, the cops, everybody was black in the inner city. And it was a total different thing. Like you say, when you got here, you're fucking your culture shock.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was, because like when we were in the projects in New Orleans, the only white folks we saw opened the store, and then they would leave early, and then the black folks would close the store. But the only and we that one little store over here, and then that one little store over there. That's pretty much the only white folks that we saw until then you get downtown in New Orleans, and you see, you know, Creoles and Cajuns and this and that, you know, really fair skinned black people, you know, and it was just, you know, a mixture, but it was still mostly black that was doing the work. But come up here, boy, it's like, whoa.
Ask that question again. I'm sorry. I don't know when that cut off. I'm so sorry.
Damn, what was the question?
Oh man.
How do you get
How do we get all these black
Oh,
diverse black people?
how do you get all of these diverse, forward-thinking black people to agree to be in a part of a think tank?
Well, I think it takes a charismatic leader like myself to
I still agree.
to empower each of them that their positions and their opinions and their viewpoints are valuable to the success of the whole to move us forward. It doesn't have to be 90% of that and 5% of this and 5% of that. All of it is there. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So there's no weak links. All of us are dependent. A chain, you know, a brother got to be dependent on the brother on the left and the brother on the right. That's your focus. That's your focus. I don't want to practice today. Well, yeah, but I got to because I'm a part of this chain. And I'm leaving a bad example with the brother on the right, conservative, and the brother on the left, progressives. And you bring them together to formulate policy that is most beneficial in the short term and long term for the black community.
Okay, so you bring them together, but how do you, okay, let's start on the right, right? Because like you mentioned, the entertainer,
Yeah.
Trump supporter, and then like Ice Cube,
Entertainers.
who is a Republican because he's a successful Republican. How do you get them to our think tank and say, okay, what you're doing ain't working for you,
Or ain't working for us.
or ain't working for us?
Yeah, it's working for
We,
them.
you know.
Because you know, yeah, I think number one, you don't say that.
Exactly.
So what do you say? How do you say it?
I appreciate what you have done. I appreciate
However.
how it's exactly that's the word. that you have been able to navigate the system in a way that's beneficial to you.
So show me how to
Show
do
us
it.
how to do that.
Show us how to
Show
do
us how
it.
we can do that collectively.
Okay.
And when I mentioned about the credit unions, that's non-political. I don't care if you're Republican or conservative, whatever. You know, if you put in your pension and your Social Security into this bank on a direct deposit every month, then that bank has money, money to lend, so they can fund small businesses, so I can hire some more people.
So here's the thing that has gone down. These kids today, okay? Now,
Under 50, you talking about, right?
kids, our grandkids and beyond, our children and beyond, because a lot of us dropped the ball. I can't say me personally, but a lot of us dropped the ball as far as that kind of idea progressing. So you have all these diversions now. You have all these, this guy here plays sports and he's a millionaire, and this guy here raps, and this guy here dances, sings, and entertains, and what have you. So the onus is taken away from let's all do this, is back to the individual thing. And that, has been going on for days. It's like, oh, these kids today, because their ideas were different than their parents or their forefathers. So how do we deal with that, especially with all the diversions that have been created for our offspring generations? You don't have a lot of people that are thinking, you don't have a lot of charismatic leaders that are coming out of the generations
Let me ask you
after
this.
us.
Didn't our parents say the same thing?
That's what I'm saying. They did. But the difference is,
Why is there a difference?
there's a difference. I mean, that's what
It's
I'm
a
saying.
different dynamic.
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Because our parents said that, their parents said that about, yeah, that's there. These kids today. But the thing is, we progressed and did things our way. So my question, I can't figure out what those next generation and generation after are doing to help themselves,
You know
like
what?
we kind of did.
Yeah, but we're not there on the ground with them.
Exactly.
So we don't know what they're doing.
That's what-
they're not communicating that to us
That's
in
my
that,
point.
that way.
Yes, I
They-
don't know.
so we did not, in my view, communicate that to our parents. We just did what we did.
Yes.
So why should they be any different?
I didn't say they should be different. I'm
It's a
just
different
saying,
world, a different
what
approach.
can we do to avoid that?
Well,
To help, to communicate to them, to help them communicate to us. What did we do? What can we do? Because it's their world.
let's ask our producer.
We're gonna be out of it. It's gonna be their world.
He's closer to the 20-something than we are. When you
Yeah.
talk to him, what are you hearing? What kind of feedback are you getting?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I don't know what answer to give here.
That's what I'm saying.
What's the question? I'm sorry. What is the base question of what we're talking about?
What in my opinion, what are we doing to change what has been the trend from generation to generation to generation?
Okay.
That trend of mistrust. Why can't
Yeah.
black folks
Oh,
come
oh,
together?
yeah.
Why
Don't
can't-
you think it's just natural though?
Reparations.
It's not
Sure.
just black people.
Well, we've been naturally bred. I know that for a
No,
fact.
but the whole-
This
but the whole
distrust
thing
has
is,
been
yeah.
bred into us, man. And you ain't gonna flip a switch and change it. I don't care what kind of charismatic leader you got or what kind of excellent idea you have, because there's just so much trust, and it's gonna take some generations. It's not gonna flip a switch. It's gonna take some generations to get there. And I'm willing, my little two-piece, to do two things. One, serve as an active mentor for any of the young people who want to ask about history, historical, whatnot, because wisdom is about, if this happened and people responded this way, and then you do a critique, how did that work out for you? So as when we get older, wisdom is about, that smelled like the same shit before. That looked like the same shit as I seen before. So when that shit happened before, we responded this way. And how did that work out for us? So should we repeat that response or should we change it? And the wisdom say, we still can't get no discussion on reparation. So maybe that we need to do something different. And part of doing something different is listening to young folks.
Communicating.
Be open.
Yeah,
We have to
which
communicate.
is something
That's
old
what I'm
folks
saying.
don't
That-
like to do.
How do we
It's
go
listen to young
about?
folks, but it's
Oh,
important.
yeah.
So old people sitting around the table talking about how do we get young people involved, that's a conversation that ain't going nowhere because ain't no young people at the table.
Exactly.
Just like my
Exactly.
friend Bobby Benson said, Luke, you know, I got to be at the table. You know, when the conservatives talk, I got to be there. So if you can't hear their perspective, you can't understand what's going on. Then they obviously are showing you, well, we're not willing to take that baton. Yeah, we appreciate, maybe they might say, we appreciate the efforts that you did to move the baton, but we're about ourselves. And this rugged individualism has just seeped into them big time, magnified. I mean, I'm gonna get mine, I ain't down for everybody, you're on your own, sorry, see you
No.
later. As a matter of fact, I don't like either one of them guys, I'm gonna stay on the couch.
Let me throw this out there. Do you think that could be a regional area thing that we're talking about?
I don't.
Because I gotta be honest, I'm hearing different things than what's been said here from the other generation. I'm not hearing. What I'm hearing is we're not listening.
Yeah.
We're not listening. Plain and simple.
What else have you heard them express about where we are and where we're going? What kind of baton?
Well, they pretty much are not. They're not there. They're not there. Just like we had our own shit going, they got their own shit going.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, and they are very reluctant to break outside of that box. Very reluctant. They just want to keep doing what they're doing.
Well, isn't that a lot like what we're saying? Our parents taught us this, and right, get a good job, save some money, put some money in the credit union, get a house, whatever. But today, these kids, we didn't grow up with the internet and artificial intelligence. These kids are not manual labor.
There's
Nah.
more. Yeah.
Nah, that ain't me. This is me here. I've got this
more.
idea. I've got this many hits.
And there's
I've got
more, and there's
you
more.
know.
There's more ways for them to make money without
Right.
that manual labor and the things we had to do.
See, I think a lot of times when the conversation of passing a baton or bringing younger people to the table, coming from the perspective of older generations, I think y'all forget, and y'all in general, not you guys, but I think y'all forget what it was like to be that young and an older person trying to tell you something, and you'd be like, yeah, I hear you. You remember? I'm sure you remember as a kid, your parents telling you something, and you genuinely like, I get what you're saying, but this over here is what's going on. I know older folks remember that feeling with their parents. So for them to, for older generations to sit here now with the same attitude as their parents, looking at like you forgot what it was like.
Right.
And just like your parents wasn't out in the streets when you was, they don't really know what's popping and moving like that. It's the same thing now. You know, as today, but now you add on the internet and things going on around the world. When y'all was younger, you knew what was going on around and what the paper said. That was the extent of what your knowledge of what was going on places, and TV. But now, you know.
So many sources.
So it's a lot. So the attention of what's important to these generations is all over the place. And while older generations, y'all had 4 or 5 things that you was real passionate about. People don't give a fuck about that right now because there's a lot more things they're passionate about. So that argument of y'all need to come on, like y'all not listening, same thing. How do you get past that? I don't think you do. It seems to be just human nature. This is what's important to me and my peers. So this is what should be important to everybody. Every generation has that, I think. I don't think that's a new thing.
It ain't a color thing.
That was what
Yeah.
I was saying.
Since
said.
slavery and
Kids
since
today,
the end of Reconstruction, have we as
Excuse me.
a race bred folks who were stolen from Africa? There has been some progress, right?
Some.
Right? I mean, we're not the same as in so hardcore Jim Crow as in 1877.
Yeah, I'll say this to on your point, just to back you up. The rabbit hole I went down about slaves and that were still alive. The good lady talked about when they got free.
Yeah.
They said her brothers and sisters and her mama, they went down the road like cattle. They didn't know where to go. They just sat under a tree, So have things changed from day slavery was over to yes, absolutely. Anybody says it's the exact same is out of their mind.
When I said 1877, I meant the year after Reconstruction.
Okay, yeah.
Once the troops left.
Once the troops left,
that dream of being included into society was evaporated with the flip of the switch.
we had.
But they prayed and they stayed together. They built these institutions, churches, schools, stuff like that. That was a baton that they gave to the next generation, right? And they didn't say, well, we did our thing, we're gonna do this. No, they kept it going. They kept it going. Then you get into the Jim Crow stuff, in the deep. And my dad was born in 1910, and my sisters and stuff born in the 1930s and all that, And so here we are. We have made some. There has been some progression. We're not chattel slaves anymore. Got rid of redlining, at least avert that. So there has been some change where we have shared information and knowledge to that generation that they have gotten. If we do a T of the positives and the negatives, they're going to be more positives, I believe, than negatives.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But are the negatives more important? Like we got 5 good positives, but then you got one fucked up negative, trying to repeal the Voting Rights Act, or making it a crime to give somebody a drink of water when they're standing in line to the vote, making it passing a law that
Do
you
young
can't
people
do
care
that.
about that?
If they're trying to vote, yes.
Are they trying to vote? Or are they going to sit on the couch?
That's another thing.
Well, I guess we need to talk with more young people
That's
to see where
another
they're
thing.
coming from.
Are they willing to participate in society in that way? Or not necessarily the way we did, but the thing is, as opposed to a bunch of individuals, they have to unify like we thought we had to, and in some cases we did, but
I think, again, it goes back to who is your peer group as a young person. I mean, who is your subgroup? You're a young person. What subgroup do you belong to? And different subgroups have different ways of looking at things. There are some subgroups that are in there. They're on this. They don't want Trump in because it's going to stamp on their rights. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. So they're out there, they're doing this. But then there's the other groups who maybe just gotten their first job, or second job, and all they care about is getting that paycheck and going and getting that weed.
there you go.
You did?
Or whatever.
So you tell them less taxes, out for that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
But
I
you-
think
And then you have some people. Then you have some people who, again, they very observant. And they watch the system. They see what's going on. And they take that route of I don't want anything to do with this. I'm gonna get mine. Y'all back off. Because one of the things talking about passing the baton, generation to generation, and how the community would all help each other. But then you get to somewhere where things change. I mean, I don't know this. I'm throwing this data out. Somewhere around the 70s, 80s. to now, you know, regardless if it was drugs, whatever it was, that kind of just flipped the switch on community. But now it's like, what communities we talking about? The projects. This was what I was gonna say before. Classism is something that needs to be addressed, because you look at certain, as they say, who's your peer groups? Look at neighborhoods. Now, what we would have considered a big block of houses for a black community, now it's a project of things where everybody's poor. That means everybody got an attitude. When you ain't got money, you mad. Okay, when you mad and you pile on top of each other, that causes something. So talking about not caring about community, man, I don't trust these motherfuckers. I'm here because I gotta be. Soon as I can get out, I'm out. And then once you out, it's like, yo, I seen the trenches. I seen what community looks like. No, I'm gonna take care of me and my immediate family. That's how you start to bred these people who, I don't care about community. I care about my family.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thought to have. Now, do I think it being community would be so much better? Yeah, but I can't even honestly say what that looks like. What community do we have to compare that to? The white community? I don't want to be like them.
Well,
But
we,
they
had
sell-
this talk. We mentioned we mentioned Tulsa.
But
You know, that was community.
But
different than any
But even-
community
but-
that
but the
around
point is
a lot of
today,
different
it
communities.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Let me just say, you're right. Tulsa, when they burnt that joint down, but that was a black community.
Self-sufficient. And the other is that today, I'm old, but I'm recognizing it doesn't have to be geographical. When I talked about a credit union, it can be, you don't need a brick and mortar situation.
So, no,
That's an economic community.
right.
That benefits folks, whether they see it or not.
But you still have people, like in the projects, and people in the poor inner city areas, that prey on each other.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
You know, they've been bred to do
Now,
that.
I ain't got shit, but you got just a little bit more shit than I got.
I'm
I'm
gonna take
gonna
your shit.
take that.
Well, we've been
And I
bred
mean,
to
you
do that.
still,
man.
you
That's-
still
that's-
have
Well,
to.
I know, but how do we solve it?
But that's human nature right there. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that is, it's human nature.
Right.
It's just you don't really see. Now I could be wrong because I don't be all over the U.S., so I don't know what the ghettos in other states look like.
Right?
But when I think of the projects or a poor community, unfortunately, I think of a black or brown community. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's what I think about. No, you know what? Let me stop because I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm gonna start digging a hole for some reason.
But that's what I'm saying. You still,
You know.
You're right. I'm on that Canada Dry.
but you still, to this day, have people, humans, that will prey on other humans
Right.
every chance they get.
Yeah, you know,
and they're looking for it.
And they're looking to
they're
do
gonna
that.
solve all the ills, but I think we're better as a community than by ourselves.
Sure. Oh,
You know,
for sure.
there's way more benefits being a community than.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. And I agree. It will be. It's tough to get things all in a row, all our ducks in a row, for a successful transition,
Mhm.
the passing of the baton
Mhm.
to the younger generation. I
So there is one thing we can leave from it. If there was a think tank, there are several black think tanks.
Right. Right.
Come together and have this policy. Boom, this is what we're gonna do. 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I'm just a little business guy, right? But I put together a 3 and a 5-year business plan. There's some places I wanted to go, some goals I wanted to set, and some markers I wanted to attain. And so coming together, these diverse group of black folks, some are in it for themselves, some are conservative. There's a lot of folks that are conservative. We just mentioned earlier about during the Eisenhower administration, there's a lot of black folks that voted for Eisenhower, for Ike, you know.
They
So-
went to North
and
Carolina.
so the thing is,
Oh,
what I like
That's
about
certain-
conservative is
that's
this:
certain
I don't mind
parts.
being taxed, have my taxes taken, but I want some accountability as to where that money's going.
Good luck with that.
And so to have other folks, whether they're white conservatives or black liberals, whatnot, to join me in that when we participate, that makes a difference to me. The other, as far as young people and the passing of the baton, you can go to a school board meeting right after you get out of high school, and you say, damn, these guys are making these kind of decisions about stuff about my brothers and sisters coming up and whatnot. You may not be on the school board, but you can raise your hand. You can speak at the school board meetings and influence that policy
idea,
and monitor what's going on. That's just at one level, because it's not just the president. Oh, I vote. We're talking about every 4 years voting for the president. We're talking about down ballot. And when I say to young, this is my last point. When I say to young people, they say, "Why do I need to vote?" Blah blah blah. Well, let me see. You go to court. You stand before the judge and the jury, and they pronounce guilty, whatever. You say, I don't like them suckers. Hey, if you're not a voter, you can't even be in a pool to be a juror. If you're not a voter, you can't even vote that judge out.
True that.
I mean, that's participating in this
And,
society.
and I know you
yes.
didn't finish all this books and that books, but there was a phrase in U.S. history that talked about why they justified the Revolutionary Wars. Taxation without representation. Well, that's what's happening to black folks. We get taxed and we don't get the representation, we don't get the money back to improve our lot. We're in the same spot still. So I'm not suggesting don't pay no taxes, like Wadsworth was a Longfellow. He said, fuck this shit, go to Walden Pond, fuck you guys. You know, I'm suggesting be accountable, make them accountable for the monies that they do take. Show up at the meetings, down ballot. Challenge them, not just voter registration, but voter education.
Okay, chop that up and deliver that to an 18-year-old right now. I mean, what does that conversation look like?
We got it on tape there, man.
That's what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
I need all the 18-year-olds to hit the like button, man. And share that shit.
Or they'll say, nah, I ain't got time to listen to that
Or
shit.
they'll
I
say-
gotta go get some more
I get his
Bitcoin."
attention when he stand in front of that judge. The judge said, "Your black ass is going to jail."
Yeah.
See, I think one of the things also with young people is, unfortunately, I say like for me, you gotta catch me at a space in life where I give a fuck.
Yep, exactly.
Me too.
Because what again, like we already said, that they got all these things happening. I know for me in particular, from 2000, I think I was talking about this, from like 2016 to about 2020, I was on my political shit. I was paying attention to everything. I was commenting. That's what helped me write my book. I was in there like swimwear. Man, I really don't give a fuck now. It's like these niggas just arguing and talking shit. Everybody throwing bombs at each other. Man, whatever, bro. That's like, now I care about some things. I do still pay attention.
Fatigue.
But it's like,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna change. People, the government been tripping ever since we got one. It ain't never changed. So I'm sure I can give a fuck at one point and then drop out for however long and come back in and they still gonna be at it.
Yeah.
We was
You know what I'm saying? So with young people, sometimes you gotta wait for them to get a little older, get a little bit more mature. What I was gonna say, if you wanna talk about a think tank, here's something to think about. Maybe going to Georgia, where all the HBCUs, where they're clustered together. Get people, go down south, get representatives from every HBCU, then come together, have a think tank of how we can reach the young people, because they're already young, but they're on a path to try to do something.
Right.
That's the way to
I
try
like
to
that.
think
I like
and then
that.
disseminate.
I like that, because those young people who are recently educated, there's a thing called giving back. And giving back is the knowledge that they've learned. This is how they can share with folks coming behind them how to navigate the system, how to get past, how to get by, how to get home at night without getting shot. How to impact policy by being involved at the local level, school boards and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now I don't know if they do it, but yes, HBCUs going into the community and getting people registered to vote would be a great way to,
Surely.
not only.
I think there are.
I'm sure there are too. I'm sure the fraternities and sororities.
I think there are.
No disrespect. I'm sure y'all are. I was just.
There's organizations that are, they have. I mean, during the election, especially around the presidential, like in November, October, November, you're going to see a lot more of that. Right now, it's just kind of nebulous, but once it gets closer to the presidential elections, then you see organizations trying to have voting drives and what have you. People stand outside the store. You registered to vote, brother? You registered to vote, you know? So you see it, but it kind of goes away. Once whoever's elected takes office, then that kind of gets, for some reason, kind of gets pushed back on the back burner, and they may find something else that they're more interested in, or that, you know, they think they want to put their energy towards.
Yep.
But,
A lot of people, it's true that these policies affect our lives, and you know, that's all true. But what also is true at the same time is that shit is boring to listen to. And some people just tune out. That's just the way it is. It's like, it's important,
That's it.
but there's cartoons on, you know? So, it's like,
Exactly.
Or you have ADD. You don't mean to tune out, but I can only go so far. And then I'm gone.
I can't even get to the second D. I just got 8 D. By the time I get to the second D,
and then you tie in those real things that happen with people, and then put it on this young generation who everybody's got every kind of mental issue to deal with. So you know, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a lot of people wandering the streets with serious mental issues, and it's because we don't have the staffing or whatever. You know, they're closing mental hospitals and they're closing mental places where people can get help left and right. So you do have a lot of people that are still, you see it on the news every goddamn day. Every goddamn day. You know, for people like the dude's walking up the stairs.
Yes.
The little old lady's walking down the stairs.
Yes.
He just all of a sudden just turns around and goes and just pushes her the hell down the stairs.
No.
I'm thinking that's got to be a mental issue.
Yeah.
Not good behavior.
It's a mental issue they knew about,
Yeah,
but
I mean
they
a lot
couldn't
of,
put him in jail.
but they don't have the facilities they used to have, and they don't have the staffing of the facilities they do have.
Anybody trying to go into
You know?
healthcare at that level job, they have to go to school so I can
Hell no.
change sheets and bedpans.
You don't have.
I did want to put in a plug for this one book I'd like for you guys to read. It's been a big impact on me. The author is Sean Rochester, and the book is called The Black Tax: What America Owes to Black Folks. And it's not about reparations, it's about, it's not a woe is me. It definitely starts with slavery was a 100% tax on our labor. And then Jim Crow was the same, just additional 90 years. But he has a solution. He has a method to it that doesn't require any legislation, actually. And when I mentioned about the credit unions, that's my thing with credit unions, but he's talking about PhD. P, letter H and letter D. The P is for purchasing. Whenever and wherever possible, we support black entrepreneurs, whatever they do, however old they are, whatever. You know, drive extra miles, pay extra 20 cents for some milk or whatever. The hiring part is when you're able to have a business, and the majority of the businesses, black businesses, are sole proprietorships. But when you're able to grow, hire another black person, mentor them. You know, not every family business, we've seen that the generation, they don't want to go into that business no more. They want to go into cleaning and this and that, blah, blah, blah. If you are in a company and you have contacts in the HR department, then go out of your way to recommend bringing black folks in to apply for the jobs, keeping them abreast of what opportunities are there. And then the D part, the P, the H, and the D part is deposits. And that's where I come in with this credit union, because credit union, the benefit of a credit union is it's for the benefit of its members and not shareholders like a bank. typically when I mention the word credit union here in Seattle area, they say, "But we had Liberty Bank." So
That was
I'm
not
saying
a
credit union, you saying bank. You know, boom.
It was not a
And so,
credit union.
and so,
And it wasn't black.
how do you say, well, everybody's not gonna participate? I got that. But you know what's painless, don't cost you nothing? To have your retirement, to have your social security, you can dictate where you want direct deposit to go.
Sure.
Don't cost nothing.
Quick question.
And I can live check to check at an institution that looks like me if I want to.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is that book online?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Because
I have my phone, I show you.
people don't do hard things. They don't do books no more. They just say if it ain't on here,
Okay.
if it ain't on here.
Yeah.
There
His name is
is-
Shawn Rochester, S-H-A-W-N. Last name is Rochester. The book I call The Black Tax.
There you go.
You see,
Is it Alpha? Yeah.
anyway, hey,
Rochester,
that was a
Rochester.
great conversation. Thanks for joining us, because it's time for us to get up out of here. See you next time. Be safe and peace.
Absolutely. As I always say, if you like us, share, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody that you know to tune in and watch. If you don't like us, keep it to yourself and find somebody else to hate. But anyway,
Yeah.
but anyway, true story. Anyway, be safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, good show today. And give your feedback to somebody if you don't want to give it back to us directly, because we do want to hear what you have to say, because you also can expand our horizons.
Share information.
Share information.
Share information.
Yeah.
And always reach back. Whatever you've been successful at, don't be afraid to reach back. Drag somebody along with you, and that's all it takes. Be well, stay safe. I'm handing it off.
I am the professional home inspector.
Yes, he is.
All right.
Be safe, because it's better to be safe than surprised.
Yes, indeed.
You plagiarizing yourself.